Alright guys, I'm here. I'm sorry I'm late. My bad. I am here though. I made it. Sorry about that. I'm spending some time with my daughter and I don't get a lot of it, so I was just making sure I follow through on what's important first. But I'm here now for the long haul, so let's go. If y'all are still here, I hope you are. I saw Katie, you're on, maybe Rick and B. Nichols. So sorry. So sorry. Yeah, not fashionably, B. Nichols. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. I haven't even gotten anything here set up. So let me see if I can, this video looks terrible right now. Let's see if I can fix that real quick. Start with the simple things. Here. That's better. That's better. You guys, let's figure out what we want to talk about. There we go. Now we're cooking. Yeah, the sync is probably better, Rick. I think I figured something out about the sync. I think I figured it out. We'll see. I changed the setting that I found that I think is going to make the difference on that. So let's cross our fingers. I'm going to have to fix my chroma key. It's going to look really bad for a second. Oh, goodness. Let's see here. Yeah, that's really dark. Oh, my goodness. Well, the topics now, I'm willing to do anything. Like on Sunday, guys, and this is going to be real low key, real casual. On Sunday, I said, you know, we can talk about anything, and you guys were asking about cryptids and cryptozoology and things like that. We talked about dimensional beings and all sorts of stuff. Well, I'm game for anything. I think that's the coolest thing about what we do, and I really wish, you know, the Christian community could do more of it, and that is just be honest and open and talk about the topics, talk about the things, instead of pretending they don't exist, or, you know, being afraid of being called crazy or silly or weird or whatever that is. I would much rather talk about the topics, bring it out in the open, and discuss it. And if we feel like it's stupid, fine. It's fine to feel like something's dumb, but you know, this is just a chance for us to do that, to do whatever we want, talk about whatever we want. We have this amazing ability with these tools to connect like this and talk about things. And again, like I said, I think on Sunday, it's part of what they don't want. They don't want people to talk and discuss things and come to conclusions and think and research. They don't want that. You know, that's the one thing that is causes control to slip through their fingers, is when people think for themselves. So I'm happy to do that all day long, and I'll talk about anything y'all want to talk about. I'm still trying to get my video to be just what I want right now, and you can see my key is not right, so I'm gonna fiddle with that for a minute. But please put in the chat anything you want to talk about. Rick, you mentioned the lady that freaked out on the plane because she said he's not real. Yeah, you talking about is that the lady that was talking and said something about the guy's a lizard or something like that? I can't remember what she said. I can find that though. Just give me 1 second and let me see if I can get this camera settled, and then I will start looking some of that stuff up. So let's see here. Configure. Do this, do that. White balance, do that. Exposure is wrong. Whoa, that's terrible. It's a little better. I don't know. I look like I have skin cancer, which I probably do, but you can do some really terrible things with video. Like, I mean, really make yourself look really bad if you do it wrong. Just saying. Oh my goodness, what do I do? I messed it all up. Let's try this. It's a little better. That's pretty good. I may just leave it right there for tonight. It's pretty good. Let's see about getting this chroma right. This is really difficult and bad. Oh, that's pretty good. All right, now we're there. Okay. There we go. Ted Gunderson. Yes, Ted Gunderson. Amazing. Amazing amazing testimony from Ted Gunderson. Rick, you posted the link, but it's not letting me see it. So let me see if I can get to that link on the YouTube thing. I don't know if it's going to show it to me because yeah, the link is not coming through. They're not letting people post links on these chats. They're just not letting us do it for some reason. So let's look here. I'm going to see if I can start with looking about up Ted Gunderson, and maybe we can listen to some of his testimony. I think you're going to have to let me do one thing. Oh no, I'm set up here. I just got to get these headphones because when I play the audio, I just got to get everything perfect so it doesn't mess it up. Right? So let's see here if I can get my audio right, and then I'll find my Ted Gunderson videos because I do have those. Okay, now I'm cooking. Yeah. All right, you guys will now be able to hear my desktop, and I will, and I won't mess anything up here. All right, so now I'll share my screen. Let's see if I can really quickly, though. I think I have some Ted Gunderson stuff. Yes. So here's a Ted Gunderson lecture on satanic groups in the Illuminati. Let me just pop this open and we'll see what is in it. I don't remember which one this is.
First of all, let me say thanks a lot. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I don't know if you know it or not. Some of you do, some of you don't. Former head of the FBI, Los Angeles, California, retired in 1979, March. And shortly after my retirement, I was asked to investigate the Jeffrey R. McDonald case as a private investigator. He's a former Green Beret doctor who was convicted of murdering his wife and 2 children in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, February 17, 1970. It's a long story. I put in about 2,000 hours on the case. When the case first began, my investigation first began, I told Dr. McDonald that I would investigate the matter for him. He had just been convicted and was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences.
All right, so I'm not going to play that whole video, but this is the video, or one of them, that Mr. Hamilton's talking about. And Ted Gunderson, by the way, he's dead now. He did a ton of he's a retired, I think, is he FBI or CIA? I can't remember. I think he's retired at FBI, actually. He was probably one of the foremost investigators for child trafficking, and he's a good man. He's a good one of the good guys. Was not involved in it. In fact, I think he exposed the Franklin cover-up, if I'm not mistaken. He's one of the ones that investigated it. He's also investigated and exposed different child trafficking rings and things that have gone on all up and down as far as I remember, the East Coast. And a lot of it involving, especially after he retired, I believe, he found and exposed some things that, that government people were involved in. And so that's the speculation that he was then killed after that for, and of course an accidental death after that because of what he was exposing. So this is one that if you do research in the right places online, you can find videos and testimonies from Ted Gunderson. And I encourage you to do that because he's incredible. The stuff he talks about is one of the most impressive whistleblower testimonies you'll hear on child trafficking, probably. Yeah, Rick Bowser, I do know about the woman having the meltdown. I'm just trying to think, like, am I going to be able to find that thing? So let me see if I can find that thing. If I can, we'll try to watch it. Because I only saw it once, and it is interesting. Here we go. Let's see. I think I've got it. Let's see.
Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not. I'm not going to. Bye. Say whatever you want.
Apologies for the cursing, guys. That's it. That's the one everyone's talking about right now. And this woman, I've heard a lot of different things about this. I don't know about her social, B. Nichols. I don't know. It was her social, stuff wiped from social media? I don't know. But what is it she says? She says he's not human. Is that what she says? And then, I mean, I don't know, like, again, this is stuff that, some people will consider nuts, but, let's see. Yeah. Let's see here. Justin Bieber. So, sorry, I'm looking for, just in the vein of this kind of thing, you do know that it's been reported before by different people that they saw someone turn into a reptilian, right? I mean, it's been reported before. Now, of course, you've seen all the videos online of people's eyes, like they'll show you a newscaster or some celebrity, and it looks like their eyes look like a reptile eye. Those are, to me, hard to know if that's even a legitimate visual, because myself having a lot of experience in video work and especially on computers, a lot of that has to do with the artifacting that's caused by video compression on computers, the way that they are compressed as they are saved. A lot of those videos where people's eyes look like a snake eye or something like that when they blink sideways or whatever, a lot of that has to do with that. It's called artifacts of the compression used for the video, and it doesn't necessarily, it's not conclusive proof that that even happened, because of the way that compression works. It really screws up with the visual, especially when you zoom in on stuff to really tight, when you're looking at pixels. It really messes things up, because the compression engine is trying to make all these decisions on, whether this pixel of color goes that way or this way or this way or that way, and it tries to make the best guess it can to reduce the size of the stream of data that is the video. And so when that happens, especially if you turn the compression way up on videos, then all sorts of things can look really weird. And so I just don't trust some of those like lizard eye videos. But I do know that, let me see here. I'm going to do a few of these. Yeah, I had just saved a couple of these articles that are now not on the internet, that say, these are fans saying they saw Justin Bieber turn into a reptile, okay? At an airport in like South America, I believe, is where that happened. Or supposedly, I guess we should say allegedly. But here's the article, Some woman saying his head shrunk, his eyes went black with a black stripe down the middle. He grew a few feet taller and had gross colored scales all over his body. Now, I don't know what to think about this kind of thing, guys, right? I don't know what to think about that. All we've got is this testimony in this specific Sunday Times newspaper in Perth, Australia, right? And do you feel like that's legitimate? I don't know what to say. I don't know what, really. I just know it's interesting. It's interesting. So, but all this stuff, is definitely out there floating around. And, and just to, further talk a little bit about Justin Bieber, I believe that Justin Bieber early on was kind of given over to the elite to be this star that he became, this legendary star. You gotta realize too that almost every time you see a legendary star, you got Celine Dion, you have Beyonce, Jay-Z became legendary. All these people that make these agreements, who else is legendary? What's the blonde girl's name that was a country singer? Why can't I think? Anyway, they totally destroyed that girl. In fact, why can't I think of her name? I'm just losing my brain right now. Yeah. Got all these different ones, but Rihanna, she's one that totally gave herself over. Taylor Swift, that's why couldn't I think of Taylor Swift? Yeah, thank you, B. Nichols. And I truly believe that Taylor Swift not only made a deal, but I believe too that she's been replaced as of about this time frame, 2008, 2009, when her albums went to, when she started that album with the Snakes, right? What was the name of that album? I don't even remember. But she went on stage live. This was her live tour that year. 2017, this was her tour. I mean, this going from like the sweet little country girl to this, something's got to happen in your life for that to happen, right? Of course, you got all these people saying that, she was switched out with a clone of Zena LaVey, Anton LaVey's, I think, daughter or sister. I can't remember which. But she does look a bit like that. I will say that much. The genetics might have been there, I guess is what you could say, but that's just quite interesting. But what makes a small town country girl, by the way, of whom I know some people that know her personally or did when she was young, makes you go from singing those cute small town country songs that she sang to essentially having a ritual worship of the serpent on your live concert. What makes you do that, right? And this kind of thing makes me start thinking about when you consider the people having sightings of people and saying they see a reptile, they see some kind of lizard thing. I mean, we do have the example from the Bible of the seraphim, right? The seraphim were angels, but apparently the word seraph was used because that means snake. It means an asp, a desert snake. And so those angels must have had some type of serpent-like appearance in my mind, just because of the way the language is my assumption that those angels do have a snake-like appearance in some fashion. And so for some people to say they saw a person turn into a lizard or a snake or something like that, to me is not far-fetched in the sense that if there's a demonic presence or demonic entity behind that person or in that person, then how far-fetched is it to think that someone with a little more spiritual acuity or who has been given the ability to see that perhaps does see them change into a form like that? But perhaps that's not visible to everybody. So to me, that kind of thing is totally within the realm of possibility. And, you know, you just have a world in which we have people giving their lives over, whereas they at one time had good things going on in their lives, and some kind of deal or something has been made, some bargain has been struck, and a life turns from innocence to Satan worship. And to me, that is what we're looking at in front of our eyes with these people like this. So anyway, I'm just blabbing on about that, but let me see what you guys are looking at. Katie Turner, you say you don't know if you buy the CGI lizard people. Yeah. I also have, read many books, and I do mean many, not just one or two. I have a collection of books on alien abduction experiences from people that have testimony on that. And the testimony they give in their, what I would call spiritual experiences with the alien entities, whatever these are, which I believe they're demonic and or angelic. These people describe seeing these lizard type people. So that to me is a sign that this type of entity exists, and it just may not be a physical entity. It's a spiritual entity, and it's behind some people. It's in some people. These seraph type spirits, I do believe exist. I believe they're real. That's my personal belief on it after, seeing and reading all these things. But Rick Bowser, you stepped away a couple minutes. That's okay. You know what? I was late, and I apologize to you all. I apologize. Y'all were talking about something else up further, the DFW flight. What is that? Do I not know that? Or is that just the flight that lady was on? It must be the flight the lady was on. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Rick, you said her name was Jenna Wilson or Tiffany Gomez? I'll take that down just as a note. Yeah. You guys give me ideas as much as I probably give you. Here's another one that always interested me, is this Aaliyah. From what I understand, I believe she was killed. Is that Does that strike true with you guys? From what you guys know, I don't know much about her. I don't even have much information here about Aaliyah, but I believe she was killed, and I believe that it was connected to the elite, and that she didn't play ball, and so they took her out. Either that, or she was a sacrifice, based on the agreements with another person in the industry that allowed them to take her out as the sacrifice to seal their agreement. That happens a lot too, by the way. Just as Kanye West said, when he was talking not too long ago, saying that, family members are usually sacrificed, and that is part of the agreement sometimes. You want to play ball, you want to be one of these legendary singers, you want to be a Celine Dion or Mariah Carey, you want to be one of these people, you have to do what they did. You have to sacrifice something of yourself or of your family to be that, to do that. You got to play ball, right? And if you don't, then they find a way to either just kill your career or kill you. So anyway. Yeah, a lot of weird stuff. Ariana Grande, she's another one. It's like, you don't know what to think of people like this. She came out of nowhere. She's not very good at singing, honestly. And just all of a sudden, she's the thing, right? How do you think that happens? Like, there's literally no way a person can rise to fame just like that. In a natural sense. Like, if they don't have the help of the industry to get there, these people can't rise to fame that fast. It just doesn't happen. It's not real. But when the elite get involved and an agreement is struck, it can be overnight. And you've seen that happen before, probably. B. Nichols, you said Aaliyah died in a crash. It was a plane crash? Right. And B. Nichols, you also said Stephen Bankars is one of your favorites on the alien subject. I want to look him up. I don't know Stephen Bankars. Huh. Interesting. So I'm assuming this was right. This right here.
Episode videos,
Oh, there's Michael Heiser interview with him. So is this Stephen Bankars? Is that him? I don't know him. That's interesting. Yeah, Michael Heiser, I was surprised when he passed away not too long ago. That's pretty sad, I guess. He worked hard at what he did, and I think he actually opened a lot of people's eyes to some things. Which I didn't agree with him on everything, but I just thought he was an interesting guy. Michael Heiser definitely shed some good light on some things in the Bible. So yeah, that's him. I think I've run across him before, but I don't remember what I was watching, like what exactly of his I was watching. Reasons for Jesus. Second coming of the new age. That's very interesting. What's his shtick? Like, what does he believe? Looks like it's a combination of Hinduism and Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, tarot cards. Is that what? Oh no, it looks like new age objects will pervert your walk with Jesus. So it looks like maybe he's come out of new age, I guess, and he's now a Christian. That's interesting. Okay. Another one I keep seeing that's like that, I don't vouch for her, but Doreen Virtue, I keep, her videos are really popular. So yeah, it sounds like he's similar in regards to that. She was a big time. She was like a medium, spiritual medium, and she came out of it and became a Christian. But again, she doesn't have everything right. Some of the things she teaches, I'm like, well, that whatever, we all have things we got right and we got wrong, myself included. But no, this guy looks interesting. I may watch some of his content, B. Nichols. I may check him out. Looks interesting. I do think I've seen something of his before. I just don't remember what it was. Very interesting. Let's see here. I'm just cataloging the links so that I can get back to him at another time. I'm curious, anyone on the call, are any of you guys former New Agers? Were you in New Age? Did you believe it? Were you really New Age, or were you just dabbling? I'm just curious. I know I did a lot of study about New Age, and it was a long time ago now, because it was so popular in like the late 80s, early 90s. So popular, New Age. B. Nichols, you are? Is that what you're saying? You're a New Age believer? If I'm getting that right. Sometimes the lag, I can't tell if I'm if you're answering a question I just said or when I said 5 minutes ago. But if you want, describe a little bit about that, and if you want to talk about it at all, I'm happy to. But QB, you mentioned here, and by the way, thanks for joining. I've probably seen you before, but I just don't remember. QB, you say, I think I saw it once in the corner of my eye during driving past my girlfriend. She walked up to the window in her house and looked at me driving by, but I saw some demon thing. Yeah, I can believe that. I can believe that. I think that's real. And I think some people, literally, I'm not kidding, I think some people have an ability that is latent in the rest of us to see that more. So some people can see spiritual aura, or if you will, that's a New Age term, but I think it's a real thing, okay? Or spirits themselves. I've heard of people that they do actually get glints or see, shadows of spirits as they go about their day. And then some of them just train themselves not to talk about it or not to recognize it because it's so outlandish that some people, they get ridiculed by even their own parents. If they're a kid and they're like, I saw a shadow there, mommy, it's right behind you. And then mommy's like, no, there's nothing there, honey. You're imagining things, go to bed. But because the kids learn from an early age to dismiss it, that some people can actually see the stuff, but they kind of ignore it. They know it's there, but they don't talk about it and they don't really acknowledge it. Stacia, it's good to have you. Glad you're here. And I'm glad that someone joined later than me. Somebody did. Stacia did. Thank you. Oh, goodness. And B. Nichols, I'm glad you said that you say you're a Christian now. So you used to be, as you said, an astrologer until 2005. You say you didn't get too far, but you did have a demon manifestation. That's amazing. I mean, praise God that he's kind of changed everything for you and you understand so much now and it's just different. Like, I would say, B. Nichols, like, I mean, I don't want to make assumptions about what you came from, what you came out of, all of that, or, even what you believe now, because, you've come on a different path than me. So, I guess I'm just like, to me, you have a sensibility to some of those things that some of us may not have because, just the whole intent of some of that, you are intentionally trying to contact these forces. And, some people push hard that direction and they get sucked into it, right? And the demons are waiting, by the way, the spirits are waiting on the other side for people to do that stuff so that, they can take advantage of us because we don't have the tool sets necessary to delve into the spiritual world with safety. That's what I try to tell people is like, according to everything I've read and seen, and I've studied a ton of this stuff, we're not equipped to deal with the other side, right? And I think it's a completely real thing, but when we break through the veil, so to speak, and I'm using terminology there, we aren't equipped to deal with the spirits that are waiting on the other side. So what do? They tell us they're here for our benefit. They tell us that you're good, you're safe, we're going to take care of you. You need to do this in your life. Well, who is that spirit to tell me what to do with my life, right? And so when people go there thinking that, oh, it's this wonderful experience, ecstatic, where I'm opening myself and learning so much about the universe, well, the spirits are just waiting on the other side to take advantage of you and get you to do what they want you to do. And they'll take every opportunity to do that. And they, by the way, are much older than you, much wiser than you. They've been around much longer than you. And so to think you're going to go through that veil some way, you as a physical being, and then have any power over that world is short-sighted and immature. And so, you have these people that they channel demons, they channel spirits, and they manifest things. Like you said, B. Nichols, they manifest a demon or whatever it is. That Bashar guy, man, I've got lots of stuff on these channelers. Yeah. The Bringers of the Dawn. Let's see if I got any of this stuff. Some of the stuff's nuts. Oh yeah, this Bringers of the Dawn was an interesting one. This guy channels messages and he writes them all down in these books. It's almost like a cult. It's called Bringers of the Dawn, where all these messages. Barbara Machiniak. And then there's the other one I was thinking of is this Bashar guy. Alien, let's see, Hybrid Mother. Let's see, which one is that? See, he's manifesting a demon right now.
At this day of your time, we will commence with a slightly different format, and as such, we will extend to you our appreciation for the co-creation of this particular transmission and communication, and we invite you to simply proceed in whatever way, shape, or form.
However, I have a few questions. My show.
So that goes on, but these people get followings, and I mean, it's like a church service. This room he's in is full of people. They come to hear the newly channeled message from most of the time, these people either think this is coming from aliens, and that's the interesting thing, a lot of times the mainstream will make fun of people like us if we say that the alien intrusion type story narrative is demonic. People laugh that off and they're like, everything's demonic to you Christians, right? Well, these people that channel spirits say they're alien spirits sometimes. They're like, I'm channeling an alien from, the star cluster Gammon or whatever. I'm laughing because I think it's dumb, but it's literally what's happening. So I'm laughing because that's my thing, I guess. It's funny to me, but I got to be careful sometimes because people are involved in these things, right? And so I get it. But, they sit around people like this and, beg for them to manifest these spirits who then give them messages for the day about, doing nonsensical things that essentially cause them to waste their lives. And that's the thing I came to as I studied through this stuff over and over again, and I've seen tons of this stuff, is that I feel like what's happening here is the spirits are demonic. They're on the bad side. And what they're trying to do through this channeling is cause these people to give their lives over to something that's meaningless. These people's lives will be forfeit. By giving themselves over to this, they're not accomplishing anything. They are, according to them, they're spreading love in the world, but what does that mean to them? It means they meditate a lot in solitude. It means, the best they can do is, I'm going to go recycle, so I save the planet. That's always a part of it, save the planet. That's their ideas around this, new age message. It seems to be, is like, it's all self-centered. And so they're saying they're like at this new level of enlightenment, but it's just personal, and it causes them to be ineffective in their lives, in their world, with the people around them, as far as I'm concerned. So I see that, and then I'm just thinking, God, please help these people break out of this. That's one thing that's another thing I always think of when I talk to people, or I listen to people talk that are in the New Age movement. They keep saying that it's making their lives better, but I have yet to see the real evidence of that. How is it making you better? Like, they keep saying they're enlightened and moving to this next level of consciousness, something that's so special you couldn't possibly understand it, but there's nothing different about them. They're the same as you and me. They just do nothing with their lives. And so it's a destructive force that has entered their lives, hell-bent on keeping them in one place and not allowing them to become what God wants them to be. That's how I see it. And again, I feel like it's because I've seen so much of this over and over again. And I've seen some of it exposed, where people are going in, like, examining, here's another one, you guys. You guys know about this lady, Teal Swan? Have you heard about her? Anybody heard about Teal Swan? She's another one that she's total fraud. She's a total fraud. I don't know if I put her in here. No, I didn't put her in here. She has a massive following. Here's her website. Teal Swan. There she is. She's so great. Teal Swan. I'm going to pop one of these open for a second, because I don't know if you'll catch. I watched a whole documentary about her. The documentary I saw is incredible. Maybe I can find it and let y'all know about it, but she's very interesting. Let's see if I can get her up.
When it comes to self-awareness, one of the most important things to become consciously aware of is the why behind whatever you are doing. Most people are simply not consciously aware of the why behind what they're doing, even though their why accounts for a very big portion of the energy behind their action. And let's face it, the energy behind an action is everything. Two people who make the same decision or say the same thing or take the same action will have a totally different experience and a totally different result.
So this is Teal Swan. It'll go forever, but she's horrible. Like, some of the things she says, like what she's talking about right now, will sound okay. They won't sound totally out of whack, but some of the things she teaches are totally out of whack. And just as it was showing on her site, she does these seminars and she brings people up and she messes with their psyche. And you notice the nice symbols she's got painted all over her body. But after watching the documentary, let me see if I can find what documentary that was. Teal Swan documentary. Yeah, it might have been the Netflix one. Don't remember it being called. Is it The Deep End? Let me see if it's The Deep End. I think this might be it. I think this might be it.
Million views online.
I got a tattoo of you.
I never heard anyone
You saved my life.
speak so much truth. I feel like she's Jesus.
When I first met Teal, I was just kind of awestruck in a way. Teal experienced the worst of the worst, and she knows I would die for this.
we hired a private investigator.
My job is to try to figure out if this is a cult or not.
We've had members leave.
What do you think about this list?
Most of it is illegal.
The people in my life have to be more dedicated to mission. If you want to come within 50 miles of me, you better be ready for the deepest end of the pool.
It's like, what are you willing to do for this cause? I was so washed. I'd be willing to kill someone and bury them in the backyard.
There you go. That is the documentary that I saw, and it I think it really does a good job of trying to just show what she's doing. She has a getaway home where they have people come in and pay lots of money to come spend like a month with her, and she does these intensive sessions with them day after day. And in the documentary, you see some of the things that are discussed, but people call her out for, preaching this stuff, but not doing it herself. And she tells them, who are you to talk to me? That's like, she essentially compares herself to God and says, you aren't allowed to question me. And the person asking that question gets all like confused at the moment. And you can see it in his eyes. He's like, she's a fraud. And it's just, it's amazing. But this documentary, The Deep End, is really worth watching if you're interested and have seen cult stuff before. It's kind of hard to watch some of it, but I would recommend it if you're interested. Teal Swan, The Deep End. Hey, Armored Ravens, good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing good. All right, Armored Raven, you're so binary. Jeez. So binary. We were just talking about demons and cults and stuff, man. So feel free to jump in anytime with this. Talk about whatever you want. We were just going through some stuff tonight. It was interesting. B. Nichols told us that she came from astrology and kind of came out of that. So it was really cool to hear about that. But we were just talking about all sorts of stuff. So, I mean, the demonic influence has been with us for so long, and so long in our country. And I'm speaking of America, if you're not in America, and, apologies for not being globally sensitive. But in America, it's just been infiltrating for a long time in subtle ways. I mean, even not so subtle ways, but, the weird thing is now it's so out in the open as it has never been before. And so we're starting to see some of this stuff come front and center. And it's interesting that the outpouring now is mostly satanic. It's not just like cultish, it's literally satanic. But of course, if as a Christian, we probably should recognize that almost everything is rooted in Satanism. It's all rooted in Satan. He's the father of lies. So we talk about these cults and things that drive people down dark paths and don't let them go, that keep control over them. It's rooted in Satanism because he's the father of it all. So I guess it makes sense. But most non-Christians don't have that perspective. So, that's the sad part. We should have that perspective. And many Christians don't have that perspective. But we try. Yeah, well, throw down some more stuff. You want me to look some more stuff up? I'm happy to go anywhere y'all want to go. Talk more about any of this. Throw out ideas. And Katie Turner, yeah, I think she is a witch. She does do, by the way, she does do Wiccan practices as part of her. It's like she pulls from a lot of things and does... This Teal Swan lady, she does some Wicca stuff. She does, I remember in the documentary, I believe, there was some things where she was mixing herbs and ingredients, like doing spells and things like that for different reasons. And she mixes it all in. She does some Hinduism and all this other stuff. Mr. Hamilton, do I think this is God's first rodeo? No. No. But we act like it's our first rodeo, don't we? Why are we all so blind to this kind of stuff? Why are people so blind to this stuff? We just let it go. We don't even say anything. Why do people follow Teal Swan by the hundreds of thousands? Why? I don't even know. I don't understand that. I really don't. But that does make me curious now. I remember her her channel had a massive following. Yeah, 1.58 million subscribers. This is what kills me. Like, it's one thing that she's doing this stuff, but then this is the following she's getting is massive. But I will say this, after watching some of her information online and also then watching that documentary, which it's literally someone carrying a camera around with Teal Swan. Somehow they got permission to record her, like it's reality. It's someone went along with her for a year and just filmed everything. I do feel like in my gut that she is probably a controlled asset, meaning that she is doing this stuff, whether she's aware of it or not, she's being guided into doing this, and she's almost obsessed with doing it. And so it's either, I guess you could say it's demonic, but I actually wouldn't be surprised if this is intelligence operation going on and that she's an asset. There's a lot of that happens too. I mean, that's how Jonestown started. I believe Jonestown was a test by the intelligence community to see what they could do with psychological operation based in religious conditioning. That's what I think Jonestown cult suicide was. There's been a few like that, like the is it the Manson cult? I think it is the Manson cult. To me, also felt like another intelligence operation where they got Manson. Is it Manson, or am I thinking of someone else? I think my brain's losing it. Let's see. Is this the... Yeah, this is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. I think he was also one of the ones. I think he was probably a CIA asset. I think that's what he is. And that whole thing was an experiment in how far can you get people to go with this mind control stuff, with, you know, whether it's based in a religion, in which this was and Jonestown was. So I think there's been these attempts by the intelligence community to see how far they could take something with a controlled asset in a situation like this, where they guide people in a religious fashion into a cult that becomes a religion for them. And then how far can they push people? What can they get them to do? In the case of Jonestown, they got a few hundred people to commit mass suicide. The Manson family, they were able to get people to commit murders for them. And of course, that plays out into our current time period, where we have things like the Parkland shooting in Florida, which I believe was a similar thing. I believe too that, I think in some regards, Sandy Hook was probably like that. And so some of these mass murders now that we see are now based on this same type of psychological operation, where they build someone up from the inside. They can use many different techniques to get inside someone's head. Columbine, it sounds like, was this type of operation. And so, yeah, I truly think that's what's going on in most of these cases. People don't just, like, by the way, people don't just usually out of the blue snap and go do crazy things like this, you know, like we're talking about. And so, you know, you have to understand what they've been working on for almost a century now in the military and intelligence communities on this type of thing. And it makes sense that they would be at the stage now where they can do it. They can play it out in real time. They can make one person do something. They can make a cult group of people do something. And it's come full circle, I think. I think that's probably what's happened. Mr. Hamilton, you say Tesla said that Adolf had mood generators. I don't know about that. I hadn't heard about that one before. It's interesting. Do you know by any chance, Mr. Hamilton, where did Tesla say that? Like, where could I find that? I mean, I might go looking, honestly. And Stacia, you agree with me on Manson? Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. Mr. Hamilton, you mentioned Madden Helena B from Russia. I don't know that. Mr. Hamilton, you've got some good things that I need to learn about. Drug development, huh? Is that what? Am I looking at the right thing? I don't know. This is probably one of those things that's not going to be readily available on just normal searching. So let's try this. There's really no good search engines anymore, by the way. All of them, even like Start Page, although Start Page is trackless, it doesn't track you. It still uses results from the other engines. So what's going to happen is no matter how badly you want to find some things, they're not going to be in these search engines, period. They're not going to be findable. But Mr. Hamilton, you say this. You say, Mark Twain came over to Tesla's house to use the laughing room. Tesla told him no more than 20 minutes. He stayed 30 and peed his pants and had to change them. Funny thing is, whose pants did he change? Oh, goodness. Katie, you agree there's a buildup? Yeah, I think so. I think so. It compounds on itself. You can imagine if they were running MK Ultra experimentation in the sense of giving, LSD and different drugs to patients that were forcibly held against their will in, hospital facilities in the Midwest in the, say, 60s or 50s, probably even before that, then you can imagine where they are now. If they've done all those experiments, they have all the data, and they move past that. They've gone to the next stage. What would that be? Well, they're not going to tell you about that. They're not going to expose those programs, right? So the likelihood is that it's underground now. And I literally mean underground when I say underground. I don't mean hidden. I literally mean it's probably in underground bases where they do those experiments. Because they can't do it in broad daylight. They cannot do that, So she worked for Himmler. Okay. Madden Helena B worked for Himmler in Russia. Okay. All right. Well, I'll look that up. I don't know much about that. Okay, Katie. See you in a minute. No problem. But yeah, I mean, I'll look more for that later, I think. I think I will. I think I certainly will. Oh, goodness. What else is on you guys' minds? I know on Sunday we were talking a little bit about strange creatures, cryptozoology, all stuff like that. But, I didn't share a whole lot on Sunday. I mean, could probably dig into one or more of that if we wanted to. But, I'm willing to go anywhere, really, with you guys. This is up to you. I'm doing this for you. So make sure that, if there's something you want to talk about, don't feel like it's the wrong time. Just blurt it out in the chat, and I'll try to talk about it. Stacia, I just noticed what you put here about William the Conqueror. Let's see. 1066 to 1070, read an excerpt that sounded just like Josephus' account of the destruction. Very interesting. I don't know the reference book. Well, I can look that up. I will mention this. Well, Katie Turner just stepped away, but she shared with me an interesting thing that I'll mention in a second, related to that, Stacia. So just hang on one second. Rick Bowser, I noticed you mentioned the movie Network that I talked about on Sunday. You said you rewatched it after I mentioned it, and you were struck by how the affair between William Holden and Faye Dunaway was portrayed as normal and the thing that smart kids did. And it didn't occur to you in 1976 that you were being shaped. Right. Yeah. Well, and I think too, though, Rick, for the movie's sake, the director's purpose in that, well, was probably did portray it as a casual thing that was A-okay, right? In fact, his wife, if I remember correctly, Rick, his wife, when he told her he was having the affair, his wife seemed like cool, almost. She was a little upset for like 10 seconds and then she was okay with it. It was like very strange the way that shaped up in the movie. But I think that part of that was the director trying to make it apparent that their minds were totally just wiped by the culture of the television, the TV based network programming that they all had. I feel like that was their way of, because in the end that the affair falls apart and he realizes like she's essentially like a brain dead shell of a woman, this pretty lady that he goes off with, and that there's no substance there. Like she has no ethics, no morals, no substance, no foundation for living other than what she knows from the way she's experienced television, or the media that she absorbs. And it's really, to me, that was a really good commentary. And of course, the relationship to today is not necessarily just television, although it's the phones, it's our phones, right? Today but it's similar, it's the same thing. And I just think that was part of the way that the director wanted to show this terrible decision by this man, this vapid experience that left him in the end lonely and hopeless with that girl. So he said he was going to go back to his wife. Now, who knows if that, would have worked out for him or not. But I mean, that's irrelevant. It just, I think, was the director's intent to show how wrong it was, how useless it was for him to do that in the first place, even though he got some pleasure out of it. He traded his wife and family, which was valuable and substantive to him, for something that was absolutely hollow and useless in the end. So, and someone that, as you could tell from the movie, this affair lady, she didn't even really seem to care about him very much. She just kind of wanted him around, maybe to make her feel better about her horrible life. I don't know. Or because he was the mentor or whatever. But yeah, that was an interesting movie, Rick. That was the first time I'd seen it, and it's one of those movies that I came away feeling a little different having watched it. I just really felt like it was a good treatment of the topic, and it's the kind of movie too that's such a powerful message. I'm surprised I hadn't heard of it till just recently, like last couple few years. I think that quote, the guy says, "I want you to get up and go to the window and scream, 'I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.'" That quote I knew about, but that I didn't know where it came from, right? So that to me was kind of cool and eye-opening. The whole movie to me, I thought just maybe that one scene was going to be interesting and the rest was going to be stupid, but I felt like the whole movie was kind of a really good expose on the television culture and what it's done to our societies in general. I really liked it. So anyway, it's not for the faint of heart necessarily. Oh yeah, Rick, that's a perfect statement. It was so far ahead of its time. It's one of those kind of movies to me. Yeah, you're right. Totally. So far ahead. Kind of like 1984 as a book, right? And the reality is, like, 1984. The thing is, Rick, like, some of these things, I don't think they were ahead of their time. It's just, it was all in progress. And I think that people back then knew what was happening. Some of them, very few, right? Some of them knew. Some of them knew what was happening. But anyway. Who was the other one in that movie that Robert Duvall? He's great in that movie. His character is so vicious and horrible, but he plays it so well. There's some great actors in there, man. Some great actors. Yeah, anyway. There's a few movies like that. Let me see if I can find some of them real quick. I've got sort of a list here of some stuff like that. Let me see here. There's a few movies like that that just affect you, right? Oh, these are freaky movies. The Devil's Advocate was kind of like that for me, like totally different subject, but Eyes Wide Shut was kind of like that. V for Vendetta in its own way was pretty eye-opening. I don't know. There's probably more. There's a lot more, but I'm just looking through some, trying to think of some that I'd seen that. There's some movies that you watch that just really affect you. You know, they don't leave you the same after you see them. And yeah. I'll be honest, like The Godfather was kind of like that. The Godfather was the original Godfather, mind you. The second, third, they are what they are. They're fine. But the original Godfather was like, to me, I think I was pretty naive is the word, maybe. But when I saw The Godfather, I think it just helped me understand a little bit about the mindset of people that, you know, didn't grow up in a Christian Southern Baptist family. People that grew up in the mafia or in those kinds of circles, the elite, how they think about things is totally different outside the realm of how I would even think about things, right? The idea of family, and that you would literally kill to protect family, or kill to, you know, make good things happen for your family. You know, that idea, just the concept was foreign to me. Not saying that I've adopted those concepts, but I'm just saying that The Godfather was one of those that helped me understand some of the diabolical ways some people think. Yeah, Devil's Advocate was a trip for sure. Armored Raven and Stacia, for sure. Rick Bowser, you mentioned the Searching for Sugar Man. I'll put that on my list for looking it up. I don't know that. Devil's Advocate, like, that's one of those movies where I don't understand why they did that movie, because it shows their hand to me. To me, that shows their hand, doesn't it to you? Devil's Advocate. Yeah. And to me, too, I want y'all to think about this. And I want y'all's input on this. To me, I don't know about you, but where's my stinking screen? 1997, Devil's Advocate, 1997, as far as movies and the messaging in movies, it was like the time period of the messaging in movies being just all over the place. Am I not right that The Matrix came out. 1999 was The Matrix. But that time frame, 97, 98, 99, that time frame, the movies that were produced were so overtly message oriented. I think, I'm a very critical and analytical movie researcher. And you guys who know my sci-cry work, you know about that. The messaging of the movies in this time period, the late 90s, was so heavy. I don't know why that is necessarily. Maybe they thought they could get away with putting so much in the movies that they just did it. But that time frame, I swear, like Devil's Advocate, 1997, this time frame was just they were throwing everything they had at us in these visuals in these movies, and we weren't paying any attention. Maybe that's why they were doing it. Constantine is actually not a bad treatise of a very similar type subject. Very interesting stuff in that movie. One that's actually one of my favorites, but I don't know if it's a good thing that it's one of my favorites, is this movie, The Frighteners by Robert Zemeckis, with Michael J. Fox in it. Robert Zemeckis was involved in Back to the Future, obviously, as I think the director of those movies. He's in the know on a lot of things, and he worked right hand in hand with Spielberg and a lot of these guys. And I don't necessarily think at all that Zemeckis is a good guy, but I think he knows things, and I think he put a lot of things into his work that he has made. So he's one of those where, his movies are some of the thickest with messaging too. But Frighteners has some really interesting stuff. I'm just saying. Armored Raven, you mentioned So Dark, the Con of Man. Why do I know that, but I can't remember. So Dark, the Con of Man. It's an anagram of Madonna of the Rocks, a painting by Leonardo da Vinci. Is that just part of the Da Vinci Code? Is that part of the Da Vinci Code, Armored Raven? Hamilton, you haven't seen any of the movies because you must have been working. Yeah, that's probably good. Oh yeah, okay, Stacia, y'all are talking about Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons. They were intriguing to you. Yeah, I got and watched all through all of those, and way after the fact. I didn't pay money to go see those things. But do you guys realize, like, where is this? Da Vinci Code. Now, the Da Vinci Code was one thing. It dealt with the Priory of Sion and, Jesus not being the Son of God, or having copulated with Mary and producing a bloodline, all this other garbage that's not substantiated, by the way, if you're wondering. And it's built on the flimsiest of evidence, and it's not even good. There's really not much there at all that has anything to do with the topics at hand. Dan Brown used a lot of really flimsy material and made something out of it. This is what happened. And there's actually a book that I think he used as his primary source that is known as not a good treatise of this topic, but it's the most exhaustive one, so he used it as the basis for the movie. And it's all really not good. It's not good archaeology. It's not good research. It's not good at all. It doesn't fit together the way the movie makes it sound like it does. So just in case you're wondering. But the interesting thing I thought about, not Angels and Demons, which I think they were all interesting, but the third movie, Inferno, Do you know it was talking about the start of a worldwide pandemic, and in which people were all dying and falling ill. And it came out in 2016. It was before COVID. And then COVID hits, right? Were they not projecting these things? I mean, obviously. But anyway, so that was just, to me, the icing on the cake when I watched through the series. The first one was like, they're just desecrating the name of Christ. And then the second one, I don't even remember the story. I remember the second one feeling really boring to me. And then the third one, I just found interesting because it was this topic about the destruction of the human race, or at least most of it, by a pandemic. I mean, that's what the movie's about. So it's so bad. So let me catch up with you guys then. Katie, you asked Armored Raven, what makes you think that personally, other than the government, is completely evil? Stacia says, Katie, yes, 100% they are. Oh, you're talking about putting human meat in fast food. Yeah. Is that what we were talking about now? Stacia, you say you have a couple references and it's disturbing. Yeah, I think let me see if I can find something real quick. Ooh, ugh. Yeah, there was something that's been going through the cycles recently where they where is it? Well, I don't know. There's lots of different ways to get at this information, but USDA decides on Bill Gates approved fake meat. Are these cancer tumors, or are they totally safe to eat? So it's this was July 15th. So they are doing lab produced meats. These are being made, and the thing I was looking for was, there's a picture someone had online of an actual package of this type of meat from a grocery store. That it's marketed a certain way. It's hard to tell. It looks like it's chicken breasts in the package, but it's like, it says somewhere, like it says lab cultured meat on it. And it's the only indication you have that it's not real chicken, right? Other than it kind of doesn't look really like a chicken breast. It kind of looks like a big just piece of flesh. It's strange looking. Soylent Green, that's a great movie. Soylent Green, I love that movie. It's really long and slow though compared to like modern movies, so it's really hard to get through nowadays, but I still enjoyed it. Of course, it's Charlton Heston, so I thought that was cool. And Armored Raven, yeah, V for Vendetta is great in a lot of ways. Now, I will say this, V for Vendetta, like, just so you guys are aware, V. So there's a lot in this movie that I don't like. By the way, it does touch on oppression of homosexuals in this movie, which I really despise that part of this. But the overall movie itself is very pertinent, very very poignant, and applicable to right now. And it also even addresses pedophilia in the Catholic bishops. I mean, that's part of the storyline in this film. it goes through some amazing stuff. Now, one of the interesting things is the writers supposedly are the Wachowski brothers. The Wachowski brothers are the ones credited for doing the first Matrix film. The first Matrix film, by the way, is just a smorgasbord of Gnostic ideas. The whole idea of the Matrix is not to represent us being kept in a societal blindness. The Matrix is literally upside down from the way you think it is. Neo and Trinity and Morpheus, their group, they are the Satanists. And you got to get inside the mind of a Satanist Jew to understand what is happening in front of your face. They are the club. They are the Illuminati, if you will. And they are recruiting people out of the world, out of the normal world, to join their club and go where? To Zion. It's a satanic communist mindset that made that movie what it is. The Matrix is absolutely upside down from what most people think. 99% of people. And the Wachowski brothers, who supposedly wrote V for Vendetta, and I do not believe that is true, because neither do I believe that they are smart enough. They don't have brain one inside their pea-brained heads to be able to make movies like this. But you know who does? The other people that are on these movies, the executive producers behind these movies, they are dyed-in-the-wool establishment Hollywood producers. Lily and Lana Wachowski, who have now gone through like gender transition. They don't have brain number one in their heads. They could not have made these movies. They did not make these movies. In fact, I've heard testimony from people, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I remember hearing some testimony saying they didn't know what they were doing on set. It was so-and-so that was doing the work on set. And then when you look over at, here's what I saw. I delved very deeply into the Matrix movies because of the Wachowskis and V for Vendetta and all this other stuff. Here's what happens when you dig into the Matrix. First of all, you learn that the writer of the original Matrix story is Thomas Althouse. He is a longtime Hollywood writer that was blacklisted after this movie came out. And he subsequently sued Sony Pictures for the rights to this movie. And of course, he was waylaid and put off, and he lost the suits. And he has now been destroyed. His life, his income, his career is destroyed. He cannot work in the business anymore. Because they took his story, they took aspects of it, canned it, and then made it into this Gnostic portrayal of the way the Illuminati try to recruit out of the world. The Satanists try to recruit out of the world and create a specific civilization, a Zion, that is above and better than the real world. And if you watch it with that mindset, your eyes will open. That's the Matrix series watched that way, and is one of those things that will open your eyes. When you realize that Trinity, Morpheus, and Neo are recruiting people to Satanism and to a communistic society in Zion underground, where they, in episode 2 of the trilogy, they have a wild orgy. If you don't notice that, they have an orgy. They're in a temple in Zion, an underground temple, having an orgy. When you start to realize what they have done to you, they have totally mined you. And they totally flipped it. And they made everyone think that this was a story about humans coming out of their, breaking the mold of their programming and realizing that the world is more than it seems. And everyone thinks of it that way. It's a recruitment tool for Satanists. Yeah. It's rough when you think of it that way and you realize that and you watch it again. You'll never be the same. But when you dig into the people that made this movie, you look down, you go down here, and whenever you're on the IMDb, you hit all cast and crew, you can see every credit. You see the whole cast, all this, and then now, oh, who was it produced by? Here's the man right here. Joel Silver. Guess who Joel Silver is? Well, he's Jewish. And he is responsible for almost every action film that you will ever remember in your lifetime. He is responsible. Not the Wachowskis. They don't have a clue what they were doing. Joel Silver did. He knows everything about this kind of movie. And yeah, Armored Raven, you saying Avengers and Endgame and Infinity War, those movies are steeped in the messaging, right? They're steeped in the messaging. But yeah, anyway. I like this stuff. It's just so interesting to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm so blown away that we were shown all these things for so long, and I as well as the rest of us, we just didn't pay any attention. It was all right in front of us. It was all right in front of us the whole time, and they were doing it intentionally because they were just laughing. They were like, look what we can show them, and they still don't get it. We can show them everything about what we do, the dark side of our religion back here in the underground, the deep underbelly of communism and Satanism, and they don't even get it. And so it just, I don't know. There's something about that to me that is amazing, that we didn't see the things. We just didn't see the things that were being shown to us. But anyway, I can go on that type of topic for all night. That's oh. Trying to see if there's lab-grown meat. Yummy. Doesn't that look good? That's disgusting. Oh yeah, I definitely want to eat that. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. Oh, doesn't that look appetizing? Oh my gosh. It's just terrible. Meat. Let's see. I want to see. Meat machine. Robot. I'm looking for something I saw not too long ago. There's this company that was producing biological modular robots based on this type of like grown meat. They used muscle tissue of some kind, but I think they grew it. Modular. Oh man, here it is. Y'all want to be grossed out? You want to be grossed out? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? There's this company that's piloted this thing. It's literally grown tissue, muscle fiber, grown, in a certain format by a computer into modular pieces that they can then put together. They can put these modular pieces of flesh together. They have machines inside them and computers, like computer chips. And they can modularly construct little creatures that move around. I'm going to turn to what it says.
We're looking at Oscar, the first human modular prototype that is able to live in various setups. Now, what's going to happen is that I'm going to connect the brain to the heart module to activate the blood circulation. Now, the lung is going to start breathing. You can see both organs are now collaborating. I can add a kidney module.
So gross.
And if I had a limb module, I start actuating the organism to move. Now it's looking for the optimal temperature, which is 37 degrees. If I had another limb, Oscar will recognize it and beneficiate from new possibilities.
Okay, now I just have to say, like right off the bat, like in what world does a person think this is a good thing? In what way does any human think that this right here is something good? I just can't, man. I just can't understand it. Like, there's someone out there paying millions of dollars to fund this. What in the world is that brain thinking? What in the world is that guy thinking? I don't get it. This is just disgusting stuff. Alex Tibereau, thanks for joining. I see your question there. You say, hi, Bible Scribe. I had a quick question. Do you think Mel Gibson is making The Passion of Christ 2 and that it will cover the millennial reign of Christ 70 AD? Interesting. It's a good question. Mr. Hamilton, I have no idea what sex that flesh meat monster is. I don't know. Oh, gosh. And you ask also, Alex, you ask, what is my favorite website on YouTube that covers the millennial reign of Christ? The answer to that question is I don't have one, because nobody that I know, I mean, y'all are going to probably think I'm, not great for saying this, but I don't go researching many other people's stuff. And it's not because I don't, it's not because I'm like afraid of seeing something that may say that I'm wrong. It's not that. I don't, for some reason, find any value in most of what I go looking. When I go looking, I don't find a ton of value. So to me, sometimes looking for millennial reign information, Alex, is like, it feels like a waste of my time most of the time. So sometimes I take suggestions from people, and sometimes I'll look at the person's site and I'll check out what they think and why they think it, and I'll add that to my knowledge set. And, but usually it's not something that changes much of what I see in scripture. And nobody usually is disproving anything I've already found in scripture. So I just don't, I don't have any websites that I can recommend on that kind of thing. There's a lot of them out there. So, I mean, there's plenty of that. Then your other question about Mel Gibson making Passion of the Christ 2. I don't know much about the movie. Is that one on Passion of the Christ? Is the sequel listed here? I'm wondering. I don't think it is. See if Passion 2. Is this a trailer for the movie? I didn't know this existed. Let me see it. I want to see if this is actually the trailer.
The Roman seal has been broken. The tomb is now open and the Nazarene is gone.
What do you mean, gone?
The savior of the world is here.
I don't think this is a real trailer. It might be. I don't know. This doesn't seem legit.
There is a darkness over this city.
No, this is some cobbled together thing. Somebody made this up. Is this real? Does anyone know? Is this the real? I don't think this is the real Passion of the Christ 2 Resurrection trailer. I don't know. That doesn't seem right. Newsweek article about Passion of the Christ 2. What we know about the sequel from Passion of the Christ. This was written when? This was written this month, 7/13. 20 years after the Passion, Mel Gibson has confirmed a sequel's coming. It could be an acid trip of a movie, according to Newsweek. The 2004 film starring Jim Caviezel, I don't know how to say his name right. Blah, blah, blah. Talks about the old movie. A sequel has been rumored to be in the works since June 2016, when the writer Randall Wallace told The Hollywood Reporter he and Gibson were working on the script. So apparently since June 16, we've known that the script was in progress, okay? Then in 2018, Caviezel told Breitbart that he'd seen a draft for it, The Passion of the Christ Resurrection, and believed it would be the biggest film in world history. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Now Gibson has finally spoken out. And he said that the Passion of the Christ Resurrection was coming soon, whatever that means. He says you can't do it lightly and quickly. You have to really consider what it is that you need to show in order to be poignant. He said it cannot be linear. You have to have many things to juxtapose against one another from different time periods in order to illustrate what something means in a more full way. And I think it's going to be a real jigsaw puzzle to do it. That's interesting. He says he has two scripts. One is a structured script and one strong, kind of more what you'd expect. And the other is more like an acid trip because you're going to see into other realms and stuff. I mean, you're in hell and you're watching the angels fall. It's like crazy, Gibson told Outstanding Screenplays. That's pretty interesting information. That's really cool, actually. It's really cool to hear. So I guess all this is just to say that, well, it says here that the guy asked Mel Gibson if he would be ready to go in January. I've realized I'm not showing you what I'm reading, but he asked Mel Gibson, would you be ready to go in January, meaning this upcoming January? He said, yeah, maybe. I said, how about the end of the fall? He said, yeah, maybe. So who knows? He's been on this for a long time. So that's what I know. That's all I know now about Passion 2, the Resurrection. So I guess that's probably the real information, and what we've heard from other people is probably not as real. So anyway, yeah, I think he's going to do it. According to this, sounds like it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And I personally believe that that might be waiting on certain things to happen before he releases the movie. Same with the Dune 2, Dune Part 2, the new one by Villanueva. He did an incredible job on the first Dune movie. And the old Dune, by the way, the David Lynch Dune is incredible. But anyway, so, but there's certain movies like that where I think they're waiting on the release until some things go down in our country and our world. I really think that's true. I know that sounds silly maybe to some people, but I think that's what's happening. I believe that Dune Part 2 is going to be freaking amazing. Like, it's probably going to be the kind of movie where I cry and I get up and cheer. I do believe that's going to be true because the first one set it up so perfectly. So perfectly. I'm so excited about the second Dune movie. I really am. Dune was so good. Denis Villeneuve, who did the newest Blade Runner movie, which I take it or leave it. I wasn't crazy about that, but it was interesting at least. Yeah, the Dune movie was incredible. And by the way, I don't know if any of you guys that saw this movie, did you notice the reference to the bloodletting? The bad guys, when they're getting their armies prepared, they're draining the blood of all the priests, letting it run down, and then they're using it for the soldiers. Did you catch that reference? It's very quick and it's very subtle. But they're literally bloodletting the priests, the bad army, I can't remember, the Drakkar or whatever they are. It's a blood ritual. It's a very interesting reference in light of current modern time. So the Dune Part 2 is going to be incredible. I'm just saying. I'm going to be there as fast as it hits the theaters. I'm going to watch that movie. They're also, by the way, doing a new... This is another one. I think they're holding the sequel. Alita Battle Angel, which is absolutely one of my most favorite movies of all time. And I know it sounds silly to many people. If you don't see the symbolism in it, you don't understand what's being shown to you, then you can't understand what I'm saying or why I'm saying that. But I think they're holding... It's by the way, it's Cameron that did this. Even though he got Rodriguez to direct it, it's James Cameron that did this. And he's holding the sequel up until, I think, again, some things are going to change in our world before they release some of these, essentially these movies that portray us conquering the forces that hold us. Dune 2, Alita Battle Angel 2, some of these other movies. It's just going to... Passion of the Christ Resurrection. I'm just telling you guys, wait for it. Just wait for it. It's going to be great. Praise God. Something's changing. Yeah, well, since you guys are all outing your locations, I'm just hoping nobody takes note. Okay, I'm just keep your private things private. Keep your privacy, you know. It's fine. I'm just messing. Anyway, some cool stuff, I think. Some interesting things there. Armored Raven. I hope that you're not quoting that out of your head. Is that out of your head? Yeah, Alita was dope. I mean, but the symbolism, did you see like it's all Zion. It's Zalem, but it's Zion. And then when she goes and the hunter warrior place where they register to be hunter warriors, it's literally a pyramid entrance and a 33 on the door. I mean, all of it is about a little girl who's been thrown away as trash. Think about the story. A little girl who's been thrown away as trash becoming the catalyst for defeating Zalem, defeating the elite power structure that controls the population of the world, using their own tools against them. Do you see to me, the symbolism is too rich. It's too rich. The same thing is done in the movie Mortal Engines by Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson is in the know. James Cameron is in the know. I believe that Denis Villeneuve, for what he's doing, is probably in the know. Hollywood has two factions, and they are working against each other right now. There's a good faction, and there's an evil faction. And some of the bad guys have turned to the good side now. And some of the bad guys have been replaced by the good guys. And probably vice versa. It's a war. It's a war we don't know about because we don't live in that world, right? But yeah, it's really interesting. Really interesting stuff. It blows me away sometimes, the things that I feel like I see. Maybe I'm just I've gone mad and I see things because I see things. I don't know, but Katie Turner, you ain't scared. That's cool. Oh goodness. Well, guys, we've been going about 2 hours. Well, no, not 2 hours because I got in late. I came in late, and totally my fault. I was almost 25 minutes late. But let's do just a couple more things if there's anything else I want to talk about. But I'm starting to get, I can feel my voice. I'm losing it. At work, I was actually in the office today. I was talking with people all day long. My voice is now starting to give out. So we'll try to wrap it up in just a little bit here, but I've had a blast just blabbing about all this stuff. I feel privileged that you guys are interested enough to listen and chat amongst yourselves and do it with me. I just appreciate that. I do feel blessed by that. Thank you. Yeah, you West Coasters are like, why are you so tired? Why are you gonna quit? It's so early. It's not that early for all of us. Mick Crossum, it's good to see you on there today. I'm glad to see you. Glad you made it. Even if just for a little bit. Oh, I was gonna chat just briefly about Stacia, you, and Katie. Both touched on something I wanted to mention. Stacia, what was it that you said? It was pretty early on about William the Conqueror. Let's see, where was your comment? I took it down. William the Conqueror, you said you read an excerpt that sounded just like Josephus's account of the destruction. Very interesting. I don't know the reference book. Yeah, and Katie Turner introduced me to a new writing and some new information this week. And it started on Sunday when she mentioned the book of Josephus, which is a very interesting writing, but she helped guide me towards, not a book on Weimar Germany, although I was looking into that. What was it here? It's on this window. So let me share my screen real quick. This site is really amazing. And this guy, Philip Kaser, and you can find it. Look, this is on kasercommentary.com. I think I am allowed to put links in the comments, but not you guys. Here's the link to what I'm looking at. If it'll go. Yeah, there it is. This page has some incredible insight and research into 70 AD, particularly as Katie and I had been discussing the Mount of Olives and what happened in 70 AD. It literally talks about the Mount of Olives likely literally splitting in half like Isaiah talks about, and literally causing a ravine and the rocks, an earthquake that caused rocks to fall, and for a lot of earth to fill in a valley there and cause flat land, which what did the prophecies say? I will make the mountains low and flatten the hills. And this guy does some incredible research into the first century, including matching up some dates and some events that I had not seen anyone do before. And I had not been able to do this. He also talks about the Shekinah glory from the temple, moving from the temple to the Mount of Olives, where Christ actually touched his feet on the ground, possibly in 70 AD, or at least in the spiritual sense, when there was an earthquake and it split. But the Shekinah glory was recorded in the Talmud as moving out of the temple over to the Mount of Olives, and that's where it stood. This is recorded apparently in the Talmud and some other sources that this guy gives that I have not seen anywhere. And so I feel a little stupid that I haven't run across this before, but thank you, Katie, for opening my eyes to this information. I'm still evaluating it, but I'm just telling you guys on the call, this is some amazing stuff. So just be aware that I'm looking into this. And the reason, Stacia, to me that relates to what you said about the William the Conqueror thing is because that writing, the Yosipin, the Sefer Yosipin that I was looking at earlier this week, it was about, supposedly, according to the scholars, from about the same time period as that William the Conqueror thing. So when you mentioned that, that immediately made me think of some of the same stuff. You know, the Sefer Yosipin and the Talmud and some of these writings that now I'm starting to explore a little bit to understand better what happened literally in the first century in 70 AD and just before in like 66 to 70 AD. Some amazing stuff. What I'd love to do is be able to come up with all this information and produce a really good timeline, really accurate timeline of everything that happened. Boom, 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 boom. And even the dates. I'm getting to the point where I almost have the dates for everything. So if I can do that, you know, that's probably in our future here on the channel. If, you know, once I can get around to all that research and study, it's very, very cool stuff. So anyway, I just wanted you guys to hear that. And Stacia, I'm definitely going to look for the thing by William the Conqueror. And if you find it, I would certainly be interested to, you know, for you to share it with me. So keep that in mind too. But I'll go looking for sure. Perusi, I saw you join. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Oh. Thank you for joining. It's good to see you guys again. It's been a while, and I'm just really glad to see you on. Armored Raven said something about being really busy, so I get it, Armored Raven, if that's been the case. I just am glad to see you, bud. But Stacia, you say you don't believe the date on the William the Conqueror thing. Yeah, I still question those things. I you know, I would say I don't believe it, but I you know, I don't have reference points for the dates other than what the scholars say, so I take them with a grain of salt. I do recognize their given date, like from the scholars, because it gives us a reference point to start from. And then I start working back from that and see what else is out there and how what it talks about, how it compares to the other writings I've read. And then I start to make a determination on how accurate I think that date really is, right? Yeah, so. Thanks, Armored Raven. Appreciate it. Oh, man. I'm the big guy, eh? The big guy. But I don't do deals in China like the big guy, you know? My son doesn't smoke crack like the big guy. Or my daughter doesn't shower with me like the big guy. Sorry, I had to go there. I had to say it. Oh my gosh, so bad. Oh, yeah, the voice is leaving. I'm gonna have to quit, guys. I'm gonna have to stop. I'm running down. I'm running down. My voice is dying, so I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it, guys, in the next couple minutes here. I just wanted to let you know, give you a warning. You want to throw anything else in the chat or say your goodbyes or whatever. I sure appreciate you guys having been on and putting up with the fact that I was late. Some of you didn't even know because you came late too, so good. Thanks, that helps. But it sure was a pleasure, and I'm just glad we can kind of chat about some things, you know, throw stuff out, think about it, talk about it. It's all good. There's nothing wrong with discussing anything. You know, back in the good old days, especially old men, you know, old men used to always get together, and they'd have a place they'd always go and get their coffee together or a drink or smoke together. And what would they do? They'd talk about everything, talk about all sorts of stuff. Well, we don't do that kind of thing much anymore. But people used to do more of that, just talk about things. Of course, some at a superficial level, some at a deep level, but I'm just saying that's to me the equivalent of what we do. We talk about the untalkable, talk about the things that people don't talk about. So definitely is a pleasure to be able to do that with you guys. And I hope I provide some value and that you guys enjoy at least chatting. And you guys are awesome. I hope you've had a good week. And Armored Raven, we already did the freak out on the plane, man. We already did that. Here's the link, though. Here's the link. I'm going to put it in the chat. There's the link to the woman freaking out on the plane. So as I finish this up, what I'll probably do, guys, is if there's anything that we've talked about that I'll probably compile some of my notes, and I'm going to take out your names. I don't want your names splattered all over the internet, but I'm probably going to put it in the the description of the video, so that if you wanted to come back and see some of the stuff we talked about or get some links or whatever, maybe you could come do that. So I'll try to put all that together and get that saved within the next day or so. I'm about to go to bed is what I'm going to do. Squiffy Bear, so good to see you. Well, you can watch it back. You know, I went over a lot of crazy weird stuff, so you'll love it. But y'all have a great night, and thank you again for joining me on an off night. It was so fun. Maybe we'll do more of this occasionally, you know, just whenever I get a wild hair. But thank you